Welcome to the Den, the Dark Entertainment Network. I'm the Gothic Rose, and this is the dark tale of the day. Yes, dear fiends of the Den, the Dark Entertainment Network is a channel where the news meets conspiracy theories. It makes babies in my brain and it comes out my mouth. We explore the darkest stories from the deepest corners of Hollywood and the world. If you like this sort of entertainment, be sure to like, follow, and hit that bell because I am not going to stop. Hello, dear fiends of the den. I am back. We are back with the haunted history of Hollywood. I had to take a break yesterday because it was over 100 degrees here in the Catskill Mountains, and I live in a 202-year-old house that very much has the same temperature as the weather outside, whether freezing or sweltering. So, my studio was an absolute oven for many hours. Now I've got it in early today, so that won't happen anymore. But thank you for your patience. Go back and check out the episode about the Curse of the Little Rascals or Our Gang. Really interesting stuff. But today I am talking about the Hollywood fixers and handlers. This goes all the way back to the 1920s. So let's jump into that history. As we know, lavender marriages began in the 1920s, but we have recently talked about all of the handlers and fixers in Hollywood with some of the stars who we think looks a little more out of it. And if you go to my shorts, you can see what people are saying about Keanu Reeves. So this is a really interesting time in history because the studio fixers were like this secret network of morality enforcement, and it shaped the lives of the stars behind the scenes because in the studio system they had morality clauses in Hollywood. Personally, I think that these were a good thing and a little bit of a balance for the price of fame because getting rid of morality clauses leads to people like Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively and Amber Heard, Meghan Markle, and all of these women who can just step all over everyone. And let's not talk about, or let's not forget about, I should say, the men like Harvey Weinstein and Woody Allen and oh gosh, Phil Spector and all of these people, Roman Polanski, who have all left the country or are here buying off judges to get out of their crimes. Morality clauses may have prevented a lot of this in modern day Hollywood. Into all of these contracts were these morality clauses, and these studio fixers were the secret network of these morality enforcement, and it shaped the lives of the stars behind the scenes. Now, most famously, and I've spoken about this case of Fatty Arbuckle, his scandal in 1921 of being accused of the death of Virginia Rapp, going through 3 trials, 2 mistrials, and 1 acquittal, with the jury verbally apologizing for putting him through so much. These studios began inserting these strict morality clauses into their actors' contracts, and these clauses gave studios sweeping control over personal behavior, dictating who stars could date, marry, how they dressed, and either like if they could become pregnant, not pregnant, or when. And if the stars violated these rules, they could be dropped within days. Again, I don't think this is a bad thing because you shouldn't get to keep your fame if you're going to act like a jerk, you know? So this really helped to maintain the illusion of glamour. The studios employed these fixers. MGM's Howard Strickling, who would arrange hush-hush abortions, cover up DUIs, and pay off police and press to bury scandals. So these men operated in the shadows, ensuring that the public never saw the chaos behind the curtain. And there was a chilling quote from Marlene Dietrich that summed it up and says, "Abortion was our birth control." So this whole studio system was the central to the machinery of early Hollywood. It was never really officially documented, so a lot of what I'm looking up has been lost to time. It has been buried. I mean, I'm looking through everything we can possibly find, all little PR things. I'm looking through Reddit. I'm looking through every little piece of information I can find to pull up as much information as I can. And now, not just the fixers, but we have the handlers. And many people are saying that they feel that Keanu Reeves' current girlfriend, Alexandra Grant, is his handler. And stay tuned for this week's Hot Mess of Hollywood, because I did find some information on that. I probably will put up a short or two about that as well. So, the handlers and the fixers in Hollywood are distantly related cousins. Now, their roles are similar in trying to manage and or handle the celebrity while avoiding the fixers coming in to fix anything. So this was not widely used in the 1920s, the handlers, but the function existed. And the reason it was not used so much in the 1920s is because the studios had so much control that they could tell you who to marry. So fixers, MGM's Eddie Mannix and Howard Strickland. These were the studio's secret weapons. So what they did was they hid pregnancies, they paid off police or press, they orchestrated lavender marriages, and they silenced accusers or witnesses, which seems to be going on now. It seems to me like Blake Lively's hiring of Nick Shapiro, the ex-CIA agent, has, silenced a lot, and a lot of creators, a lot of witnesses, a lot of everything. Now, the handlers were like the wranglers. They were like the personal shepherds of these stars. We know Britney Spears has had handlers. We know so many others, and I think definitely some government officials as well. So, all of these handlers accompany stars to events. They manage schedules and they keep them on script, literally and figuratively. So, what they are in modern terms is part assistant, part babysitter, part PR buffer, but they are referred to as the significant other, girlfriend, or boyfriend, and you will never see them get married. Now, it's been said that Alexandra Grant has been putting out there that she has married Keanu Reeves, and this is not true. The blind items say she's trying to force his hand. Now, if this were the 1920s, she might have been able to make that happen. So, as I said, the handlers and fixers are distantly related, but they also work in tandem, especially when a star is spiraling out of control. So the handler might report the troubling behavior to the studio, and the fixer swoops in to clean it up. And in some cases, this person is the same. So they will just put on the hat of handler, put on the hat of fixer. And this began in the 1920s, the late 1920s, after these 7-year contracts started to break up a little bit. And what the studios would then do would be to punish the stars in other ways. So if they couldn't get a handle on their public personas, they would say, well, offer them a role they did not want to do. And if the actor refused, they would go on like a break. They would put them on sabbatical. So the 7-year contract would stop for however long, 30 days, 90 days, a year. And then it would pick back up again when the studio said. So they would get stuck into 9 to 10 calendar years of a 7-year studio until 1947, when Olivia de Havilland sued MGM for this. This is when the handlers swooped in even more. So the things that they hid were like Jean Harlow had multiple abortions disguised as hospital stays for sicknesses. Then Loretta Young adopted her own child, fathered by Clark Gable, which involved a year-long cover-up and a staged orphan adoption. So this was like a whole huge scandal, and we will get into those. But the early handlers were called chaperones. That's what they called them. It just developed into handler. So, what they would do is assign a young actress in the 1920s to older women. So, they would assign Clara Bow or Mary Pickford together, and they would ensure that these women did not step out of line socially or sexually. So, they were part minder and part spy. Interestingly, there were press agents who kind of doubled as these early versions of handlers. So, a man by the name of Harry Reichenbach, he was active in the 1910s through the 1920s, famously staged outrageous stunts to generate buzz, like releasing lions into hotel lobbies or faking scandals to boost ticket sales. And then we have what they called talent wranglers. Now, this is very interesting, and we're going to have to go way deeper into this. These talent wranglers were often low level studio employees tasked with keeping stars sober, punctual, and out of trouble during shoots or press tours. So, in many cases, all of these roles were very blurred because a chaperone might report to a fixer, or they might collaborate with a press agent to spin a scandal into a redemption arc. So we're going to go deeper into this, but it's really interesting because the perfection that Hollywood puts out there and the perfection that we have been led to believe was because they were greater than us, they were better than us. No, it's all an illusion, it's all a ruse. From the beginning, from Hollywood's earliest days, it has functioned less as a place and more as a projection, like a dream factory built on carefully curated illusions. And the 1920s solidified this myth making engine where studios didn't just produce films, they manufactured identities, morality, and reality itself. Stars were sculpted into archetypes, scandals were erased or rewritten, and entire lives were lived on borrowed scripts. The imaginary nature of Hollywood lies in its ability to blur the line between truth and performance. Public personas were often fictionalized, relationships staged, and even tragedies spun into redemptive narratives. Behind the scenes, these fixers and handlers ensured that the illusion remained intact no matter the cost. To believe in Hollywood was to participate in a collective fantasy, one that shaped not only entertainment, but also cultural values, beauty standards, and the American dream itself. In that sense, Hollywood wasn't just imaginary, it was imagination weaponized. If you have any stories you'd like to share or would like to be a guest in the den, please email me at welcometothedenpodcast@gmail.com. Must be 21 and over. And if you like dark, creepy stories as much as I do here in the den, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And as always, thank you for joining me here at the Dark Entertainment Network.